Welcome to A Poor Millionaire. My name is Curtis, and today we're going to talk about interesting subject. I had a guy on Instagram ask me if he followed me, could I teach him how to become rich? And at first I thought it was another, because a lot of times on Instagram you get weird guys asking you weird questions and then they're trying to scam you. Well, this actually turned out to be a legitimate guy asking a legitimate question. And his legitimate question was, can you teach me how to become rich? And I thought about it and I gave him a couple of pointers. And he's like, what's the basic principle though? What's the main basic principle that you would say would change my life and make me rich? And still, I thought he was messing with me, but I was like, I'll take him at face value, and I will keep on playing this, and I will give him the best answer I could think of. And I actually thought about it for a little bit, and the best answer I could think of was, instead of working for money, have your money work for you. And that, I think that boils down everything. The way that you succeed, the way you become rich over time, is you have to move from working for money to money working for you. Now, for your average individual, I think this is hard to understand. So let me explain a little bit. When you're working for money, you have a job and it pays you X amount of dollars. Now, obviously, if you don't have any money, you don't have any assets, and you're just starting out in life, you're gonna have to work for money, because it's the easiest way to get money instantly is to get a job. Anybody can do it. Well, darn near anyone can go out and get a job and start earning money, and that's how they pay their bills, right? And this is your entry level position. Now, a lot of people get really good at a job. They go out and they learn a high skill, and then they just stay at that level of a job. Now, you can make a lot of money at a job. Let's say you're a movie star. If you're a movie star, you can make millions and millions of dollars in a job. So it is possible to make millions of dollars in a job, but it's unlikely. Not a lot of people working in a job get super successful. Obviously, if you have a good job, you're making good money, over time, you can save your money and you can invest that money and you can have that money work for you, and you can eventually become a millionaire. But faster ways, if you want to get there faster, you're going to have to get from working for money to having money work for you as fast as humanly possible. There's a couple ways to do this. The way that I would recommend is start a business. Starting a business is one of the fastest way you can create money and start making that money work for you. And you can use that, and then after you have your business going, your next step is to invest that money either back into your business. If you've got a great business and it's super successful and you're just going to make tons and tons of money, there's two ways you can do with your money. You can invest it in real estate, or you can invest it in stocks and bonds that pay dividends, all that sort of stuff. Now, I like real estate. I like real estate for a couple of reasons. But I do see why stocks and bonds are so much easier than real estate. A stock that pays you a dividend, or it's going up, you get a good stock and you know the stock market's at a low and you know it's going to do nothing but go up. It is an easy way to make money. You can just electronically, for free, buy that stock and then just let that stock go up. And that is easy, super easy. Couple of presses of a button, press enter, kick back, relax, watch a movie, go to the beach, drive around, and your money couldn't be making money without you even looking at it. Now, you still obviously, we're assuming that you have a business and you're making lots of money through your business, and then you're investing that bit money into stocks. Now, here's the problem with stocks. Stocks have a tendency to go up and go down, and then they average out. So you get an average rate of return. Now, obviously, there are ways that you can make higher than average rate of return, but if you're going to become a stock trader and start making higher rates of return, then you're going to have to spend time figuring that out. That could take you 5 or 10 years playing the market before you become an expert and you can actually play the market and beat the market. But even then, by the time you figure out how to beat the market and play the market, it could be in a time when stocks are collapsing and the entire economy is bottoming out, and it's really tough to make money on the way down. Not impossible. There are lots of people that make tons of money shorting stocks as they fall, but still, that's harder than making money while it's going up. So you can make money in stocks and bonds, but it's just not as solid. Now, easier than real estate. Real estate's harder. Now, initially, and then setting it up, and then managing it. It's a little bit harder. But in the long run, I think real estate's safer. These are reasons why I think real estate's safer. For having your money work for you. Real estate is going to fight against inflation. It automatically covers you on inflation. Yes, you do get where the real estate drops in value. But the great thing about real estate is when it comes back harder. Much harder, because it's going to go back up to that original amount. Unless you're in California. California is a whole different situation. Obviously, if the market you're in is just so exaggerated, then anything can happen. But if you're in a normal real estate market where houses are normally averagely priced out, you're going to get that same. You're going to cover inflation every year and then some. Because the problem is they keep putting more and more people into the United States, plus more people are being born. They're expanding the population. I'm assuming you're in the United States or into some other country that's getting more population. So the more population that you have, then the higher the rent, the higher the cost of land, and that's going to push inflation as well. So that's going to push that inflation up. So it's going to cost more and more to rent. For rents, it's going to cost more and more for the value of that property. So when you buy that property, and it should be an income producing property, this is going to be one of the easiest way to get passive income and make a solid rate of return. I've made rates of return that are just astronomical. Now, obviously, it's a lot harder now, but you can still get a solid 15% rate of return in real estate. That's just on the rent. That's not counting the inflation. The inflation coverage, because on the inflation coverage, you could be getting 5% a year in some years, whereas inflation might be 2 or 3%. Now, it could be as high as 5. We don't know, but we're assuming that inflation's at 2 to 3 to 4%, but you're going to get that 5% value of the house going up because there's so many more people coming in, and the rents, that's the same thing. Here's the other thing, is when your house goes up in value, your rent goes up. What did you charge the renter? So each year you're going to raise it a certain amount, about 5%. And then you're going to get that additional rental income. And over time it's going to add up. But you're still paying, let's assume that even if you bought it on a mortgage, the mortgage will stay, let's say you had a $1,000 mortgage. Well, that mortgage stays at $1,000, but your $1,500 in rent, next year you're going to charge $1,500 plus $25, $1,500 plus $50, and just can keep on going up to pretty soon you're making even more money than you were originally, and that $1,000 is going to stay the same. So you got a really good hedge on inflation. Plus you own a property that's going up in value at like 5% per year. But at the same time though, you've got that loan that's keeping you got in there at 100 and it's going up 5%. What's 5%? Let's assume it's a $100,000 property. I'm making round numbers so it's make it really easy to understand. You got a $100,000 property, it goes up 5%. You made $5,000 and nothing happened. And the other great things about real estate, and this is another great thing about real estate, is tax advantages of real estate are beautiful. Now, you do have to pay property tax, but if it's a rental income house, that property tax should be covered by the renter. So the renter is going to pay the taxes for you, right? Do you have when you have a corporation, you have stocks, and you make money off the stocks, and you go to sell it? Who's going to pay the taxes on it? You're going to pay the taxes. You try to make that money off that, or you take your dividend. Now, obviously, there are some great tax advantages on dividends if you're low income. But once you get to the higher numbers, then you're going to get into that where you're still going to have to pay taxes on it. So back to real estate. Real estate, solid. You're going to get that money. Now, where's the problems with real estate? The problems with real estate come into play is just you have to make sure that you have money saved for problems. All right? If a toilet gets stopped up, you're going to have to send a plumber out there to fix that toilet. You need to have that extra money around. And you need to budget it into the cost of the building that you're buying. A building, house, whatever you're buying. So there are costs. But see, this is how you move from I work 40 hours a week and I get $500 or $400 or $300, whatever it is that you're getting, or $1,000, and I make that $500. I make let's assume you're a decent skilled employee and you're making $1,000 a week, right? Solid money. You're making $1,000 a week. You get your paycheck. Well, first thing that happens is government's going to take off their percentage. Let's assume that's 20%. So they take off $200. you're left with $800. Now, it could be more, it could be less, depending upon country, taxes, whatever. I'm just picking these numbers out of the blue. And it's probably more like 30% of that, because you've got Social Security, you've got unemployment, all those other good stuff, plus maybe a little health insurance, whatever. But let's assume it's, let's say 30%, so $300 off of that, and you take home $700. All right, now, that $700 is what you pay your bills with. That's what you live off of. That is money that you worked for. All right, now, let's say you get rent. Comes in, and it's $1,500, and $1,000 of that is for taxes and for the cost of the loan, right? The other $500 is yours to keep. But on that $500, you've got to make sure you save money for the place being empty, for fixing toilets. So let's say you earmark $200 of that $500 towards saving for problems, and then you get to keep $300. Now, that $300 you didn't actually work for. Now, you are going to work a little bit at the end of the year because you got to do your taxes. You got to turn all that over. You've got to, if the place goes empty, you've got to rent it. But remember, on that loan, you're also getting, let's say, about $100 to $200, the $300 worth of equity that's going towards your loan. That's principal that's getting paid down. So you're making more money on that side. That's like a savings account that automatically over time. And like I said, you're controlling an asset that's going to go up about $5,000. You add all that money together, you're making way over 15%. You're pushing 20% now. If you did your math correctly, you did your homework correctly, and you bought this house at a good price, below market, fixed it up, got it going, you can get a solid 15 to 20% on it. When you count everything together, you're going to be making that solid 15 to 20%. And it's also going to be tax. The tax advantages of real estate are going to lower your overall tax advantage. And more than likely, you're going to get all of that 20% tax-free. Now, the stock, when you buy a stock, you have to hold it. Now, you won't get that capital gains until you sell it. But when you do sell it, you're going to get hit with that capital gains. And obviously, if it's dividends, and hopefully you could get that advantage, the tax advantage, I think it's up to $38,000 if you're single, and twice that if you're married. Same as all those other ones. But let's say if you're deciding, but see, you've got a business that's producing more money. That's not going to necessarily work for you in that dividends. Whereas the real estate, you buy a house, you're going to get that solid. It's going to be money that's basically coming to you with the write-off and the depreciation. How does depreciation work? Kind of on a side tangent on real estate, but we'll go through it just a little bit so you understand how money works for you. Well, depreciation, they let you depreciate the value of the actual house over time. They do it like 28 years or 30 years, somewhere around that. Not exact on the numbers. But they let you depreciate that house every year, and they give you a tax write-off. Plus, when you're dealing with that income, when that income comes in, you can also write off business expenses for, obviously, the toilets, for the house being empty, for painting the house, for fixing up the house, for also if your gas of driving there, your cell phone for doing the business of running that. But you're already should be writing off as much as humanly possible in your other business. And that's one of the other things. When you start a business, it's going to give you tax advantages that you don't have when you're working for money. When you're working for money, and let's assume you start a home business and you're home. Well, you can write off your home office. And you can even start your home business before you quit your other job. What's your other job? You can't write off anything. All right? Oh, there's a few little tiny things. I know people are going to get in the comments. You can write off, blah, 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 blah. But it's so tiny. The stuff you can write off when you're working a job is so small, it's just almost non-existent. The stuff you can write off when you own your own business is pretty much everything. You need a laptop, you're going to need that laptop for business. You're going to buy that laptop for the business, and you're not going to have to pay the taxes on that. Now, obviously, sometimes you get into higher equipment, there's taxes. You got to always consult an accountant. But the basis of what I'm telling you is everything becomes a business expense. Because you need it for the business. You need a camera for the business, that's a business expense. You need lighting for the business, that's a business expense. You need a laptop, that's a business expense. You need even a car. You can write off the mileage if it's just doing the mileage, or you can write off the whole car if the truck. If you own a truck for business and that's all you use that truck for, then you can write off the entire truck. So you get the idea. This just changes you from an employee to a business. When you're in a business, you have major advantages in a business. You can change. That's the thing. Now, in a business, here's one of the things the reason why it's hard to be a business owner, and a lot of people can't handle it, is because when a business let's say a business earns $10,000. Well, if you're an individual and you earn $10,000, you'd pay your taxes on that, and then you just blow all the rest of it. You spend it on whatever you want. You're like, hey, I need this, I need that, I need to go on a vacation, I need to buy the kids Christmas gifts, whatever. You spend that, you blow that, other rest of the money left over. Now, business, you get a $10,000 check. You're going to need to invest that money into the actual business. You're going to need to pay employees. Hopefully you gain some employees. Employees are huge. Employees are another way where you can leverage the business to make more money. Because let's say you were a plumber and you're just one guy and you're a plumber and you're running a business. You have advertising, you have a truck, and you're doing your business, right? You're just one guy. Well, you're not leveraged, all right? Let's say you're making $200,000 a year as a plumber just by yourself, right? Now, when you get another employee, another plumber or a helper, let's say you can double that to $400,000 a year. Now you've leveraged up. You're making $400,000 a year. You got one employee. Now the employee, obviously you're going to have to pay him. Let's assume that employee is $50,000. It's really good plumber, but not licensed, right? So you've got $50,000 in payroll that you've got to pay, but you're still making an extra $200,000 on top of what you were making. So you've just upped yourself. Obviously, these numbers, I'm just pulling them out of thin air, but you get the general idea. Employees are leverage. Employees make it where you can get more work done, and you're not personally doing it. This is how you make your money work for you, because you're paying these employees with the money that you're earning through the business. So yes, that is money working for you. When you give them money, they are working for you to make you more money, so they're leveraging you. So that is one of the key ways, is you open a business, you make the business productive, hire employees, and make sure you make them productive. And sometimes I've started businesses, and you hire an employee, and you're losing money on the company, and you're basically paying that employee out of your own money, out of your own savings, and you're just losing money. All right? And the idea is to get the business up and going so that you can get to that next level. So you got to be really careful, obviously, in the starting stages of a business. But this is the basics. This is what things you need to be thinking about. This I know we're going into a lot of different tangents on real estate investing. The idea is to go from working for money to having money work for you. And this will take time. This isn't an overnight process because it's difficult. When you have no money, it's difficult to get that no money to work for you, right? I've got no money. I'm poor. I got no money. How am I gonna get no money to work for me? Well, this is where you're gonna have to learn how to save. And this is where you're going to need to cut back on your expenses. Increase your income and cut back on your expenses so that you can save money so you can start a business, or you can buy a real estate investment, or you can start saving money in stocks. My recommendation, if you really want to get ahead, is you need to start a business. There's really no other thing that's going to make you get ahead. Now, these things are going to take time, guys. This is not a get-rich-quick scheme. On Instagram, all the time I see these guys, hey, if you give me $500, I'll give you $10,000 back. That's a scam, right? Most of these times these guys say, hey, you can get rich too in 5 years, or not even 5 years. They're like, you can get rich in 12 months. You can be driving a Lamborghini if you just buy my $500 course. Well, yeah, maybe that guy got rich in 12 months off of selling $500 courses to, 1,000 people. Obviously, he's getting rich by selling courses. And I wouldn't recommend that, because it comes down to, some guys are good at giving you knowledge, but the problem is a lot of knowledge is specific for the industry that they're in and specific for the situation. And some of that knowledge translates over well, and some of it doesn't. Some of it would help you, and there's let's say 100 guys buy that course. Well, only maybe 5% of the people who buy the course are actually going to reproduce the same results as the original guy who says he produced it. I make $300,000 a year with XYZ, right? And you're like, you buy my course for $500, you too can make $300,000 a year. Only 5% or less are going to be able to pull that off, because number one, if let's say they got a great idea. Well, all these people are chasing that same idea. It's going to fill up the marketplace with people looking. It's like when they do the real estate courses, and they're like, hey, everybody should be going out and buying real estate. Buy real estate, no money down, blah, 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 blah. Well, guess what happened when they did that? And they sent out all these people looking for the no money down deals. Well, guess what? All the no money down deals dried up instantly, because you've got 20,000 people looking for the same thing. They're all looking for a no money down deal. Well, they're going to suck the market dry. If everybody's looking for a good deal, you're not going to be able to find a good deal. So if you teach 10,000 people to go out there and look for good deals. Like you got 10,000 people and you say, hey, I made 300 grand working on eBay last year by selling XYZ, right? Well, you go out and sell this course for 500 bucks to 10,000 people. Well, obviously those 10,000 people are going to go out there and try to do the exact same thing on eBay, and suddenly your competition goes from 0 to 10,000 people. And it's going to, obviously, a lot of those people are going to get wiped out. Some guys are still going to be successful because they're going to figure it out. They're going to use some of the techniques in the course, and they're still going to be successful. So yes, you can be successful buying one of these silly courses. My recommendation is don't do it, all right? My recommendation is build your own solid business on solid business principles and a solid, because you need to be able to succeed no matter what. Your success has to be assured, all right? You need to move on successful things that are solid, that last. Don't pick things that are shaky, all right? Don't pick things, I am super cautious, all right? Maybe I'm over cautious. I'm closer to that Dave Ramsey where he's like, no debt, blah, 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 cut up your credit cards, pay off your house, all that sort of stuff. I'm not as full on Dave Ramsey as a lot of them. But at the same time, though, I'm not a guy who says, hey, go out and leverage yourself up to the hilt and go be crazy, go buy, it's like on the other end of the spectrum, you got the guys who are like, hey, let's buy Bitcoin. Let's buy Bitcoin. Let's buy all those other different electronic currencies. What are those called? I've totally forgotten. I'm drawing a blank. Obviously, the Bitcoins, all those electronic stuff, guys, it's going to go, have you seen the fluctuations? I mean, 1 minute is 10,000, next minute is 5,000. And yes, you can make money off of anything, guys. You get in the right time, you get out at the right time, but the thing is there is like 1,000 people trying to play that same game, and you think everyone is out to screw the other guy, right? And, just bear with me when I say that. Obviously, I know you're not trying to technically screw one individual and steal their money. But at the same time, though, everyone's trying to make a profit. And everyone's fighting for that same thing, right? And then if you've got the guys who are running the game. They're trying to make a profit, too. And they're going to make a profit no matter what. I guarantee you. If it's going up or down, the guys selling it, they're going to make money regardless. Because they're going to buy it. They're going to buy it at 5,000. They're going to sell it at 6,000, right? Every single time. They're going to get you regardless, right? And then there's all the other guys, all the people trying to buy from the traders. And you guys are going to try, you got to beat the trader. You also have to beat the trader who's actually trying to do it, the person, the guy at his home on a laptop. And then you're also trying to beat the guy who's working at the bank or the institution selling and trading. And those trading desks, guys, they got massive computers that are doing all the stuff for them. They're going to beat you no matter what, all right? You've got to beat the guy sitting at home with his laptop, and you got to beat him. Now, yes, it's possible. It is possible. But in order to get good at anything, you've got to put your time in, guys. You got to spend, it's that whole thing about 10,000 hours to learn any skill. Guys, if you haven't spent 10,000 hours doing something, you're not really a pro. And if there's like 50 million different guys doing it, you're probably going to lose. I mean, that's just how it is. Those other guys who spent 10,000 hours doing it, that's why when these guys who retire and they got nothing to do, and then they start playing the stock market, and they get wiped out. Now, there are it's easy. That's one thing. Now, some of these guys, they retire, they start playing the stock market, and the stocks are all going up. So they start buying all these stocks, and their portfolio goes up like 20% in 1 year, and they think they're a genius because they just happen to be in the right market and things went up. All right? They're not going to be thinking they're a genius when that stock goes back down 30, 40% next year, and they get wiped out. Because, guys, recessions will happen. I know we haven't had a recession in a long time, but recessions are coming, all right? It's a matter of time. It's a mathematical certainty. And the longer they wait for the recession, the worse it will be. The more these people in the stock market will get punished, all right? And I know I got a lot of friends in the stock market. I got a lot of people who believe in the stock market. And yes, Warren Buffett says a lot of people will bet against America, and they've always lost, right? And I'm not just betting against America. I'm saying the whole world is there. Recessions are natural, guys. The movement of recessions, it's just natural way the market flows. And when it doesn't flow naturally, that's a problem, all right? Whenever you see the ocean, you're on the ocean, and the waves start acting weird, you should know you're about to have some problems, right? The same thing with the stock market. Stock market's just been going up and up and up and up and up. Well, guys, it cannot go up forever. There's not infinite amounts of money. Eventually, it has to go down. And when that happens, all these people who bought like Tesla stocks, like $430 today, right? You buy Tesla at $430, and then next year it drops like $50. And then everybody starts saying, hey, Tesla's going out of business. And then you get scared and you sell it. Well, you're going to lose a buttload of money, right? So guys, here's the thing. What I'm trying to get across to you is you have to learn, if you want to be rich. I'm talking directly to the guy who wrote me this on Instagram, who asked me genuine question. And he said to me, he's like, hey, if I follow you and if I listen to you and I watch your videos, because I was saying, hey, watch my video, will you teach me to be rich? And I was like, yes, if you watch my videos. And I also told him, I also encouraged him to watch other videos from other people producing videos. Because I said, hey, I'm not the only guy to do this. There are other people that are out there to do this. So don't just listen to me. All right. And then he said, but what is the one thing? And I said, the one thing is to move from working for money to having money work for you. That is the one thing that you need to learn. And you need to figure it out. All right. You need to figure it out through stocks and bonds, through real estate, or through building a business. I would recommend starting with a business. Obviously, you're going to need to start as an employee and save your money so you can start a business. But you don't need a lot of money to start a business. And you could also start that business even while you're an employee working at a business, or you're already working somewhere else. You can still start a business. You can start hustling. You can start doing side jobs. You can start working for yourself to make extra money so you can add to your wealth, so you can lower your expenses, and you can eventually start buying assets, either stocks and bonds or real estate. Obviously, I lean towards real estate. I'm leaning towards real estate. All right, guys, I really appreciate you watching the video. I hope this explains it. I will continue to put out videos and try to explain it as best I can. Do the best you can. Try to make money, survive, save money to make money. Guys, and I'll catch you in the next video.